he nearly got us in a car accident. He went in. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beatrice, if you don't know already, and if you're new, you can subscribe, leave a like and comment down below, as well as anyone else who's subscribed. So, first of all, I would just like to say I'm really sorry that I haven't been posting for about 2 weeks. It's just been really hard. It was the last 2 weeks of the semester and it was just horrible. I had like loads of tests literally every single day, and then I had classes every single day as well. So it was just really horrible and I literally didn't have time to even sleep. So yeah, I just finished it like last week and now I can get back to doing YouTube videos and I'm really happy, and yeah, I hope you guys are happy as well. So this week I'm going to be sharing with you guys some stories that happened to me in Uber experiences. So basically, I don't have a car. Here in Portugal, we can only get our licenses when we turn 18. So, I'm 20, I know. But here, you also have to pay for your license, and I just haven't gotten the time or the money lately to do that. So I have to get a lot of Uber rides and go by bus and etc, etc. So, I'm going to be telling you guys about 2 or 3 stories, it depends of how long it gets. So the first one happened about 3 or 4 months ago. It was at the beginning of this year. My sister just went to Erasmus. I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's basically exchange students, but it's a program here in Europe. So during college you get to do like a semester or 2 semesters abroad, so that's what my sister went to do. So what happened? We got up really early, like 4 or 5 a.m. and we had to get an Uber. So we went outside, we were waiting for the Uber. He was taking like a really long time. I think we waited there for about half an hour. And I wasn't stressing out because I actually thought the plane was much later than it actually was. So I wasn't stressed. But my mum and my sister, they were like really stressed because it was taking too long. So we waited. After a while I had to, because my sister called it through her phone and he didn't arrive, so we cancelled it on her phone and we tried it on my phone because he was still gonna take like another half an hour or something like that. So basically what happened, he got here, we got in, he was really kind, he asked where we were going, we told him to the airport, and there's 2 sides of the airport that you can leave the people, and he asked on which side we were going, and then he kept talking, and yeah, it was okay, everything was fine, yeah, it was a normal Uber ride. So what happened? Bearing in mind it was really early in the morning, but now it was about like 7 a.m. or something like that. It was still early. So what happened? We were going and he got we were like on the highway and he kept going, and what happened? He just kept talking and he nearly got us in a car accident. So he was driving, I really don't remember what happened, but he was going to the side and then he was going really fast, and we're like me, my sister and my mother, and they were already really stressed because of the time, and then he was going really fast and it was good from one side, yeah, but every time that he turned we all went to the side and then it was just really funny. The problem is that he nearly got us in a car accident. So he was going fast and then I think he was going to the side, and then there was a truck coming and the truck nearly hit us, so he had to turn the wheel like really fast, and then there was another car on the other side and it was going to be a really big accident, but we were lucky that nothing happened and everything was okay. And then we got to the airport and we were fine, yeah. But that was just really crazy. The next one, this is what inspired this whole video. Yeah. I actually mentioned it on my last video, and it happened at the beginning of this year. And what happened? It was my second semester, my second year in college, and I was going back to college. I was taking my things because I don't have a car. I took the bus. I had like 2 or 3 bags, I think, so I had a lot of stuff actually. So I got there and I got the bus. I walked through the station, and there's a McDonald's next to the station, so I went there. It was about noon and I was hungry, yeah. So I went there, I got McDonald's, and then I was going home because I didn't feel like eating that. I just wanted to get to my dorm and just eat, and yeah. So I got my order and then I called the Uber, and he was actually really fast. He got there in like 2 minutes about 2 minutes, and I wasn't even ready. I was still in there and I was just trying to get all my things, and they were just all falling down, and yeah, it was just a mess. So I got off McDonald's and he was arriving, yeah, and then he saw me. And what happened? So from the beginning he was already really creepy, and then I started walking, and then he was actually really kind. He tried to help me, and then I was putting the things in the back of the car because yeah, I had to put it in the trunk, and he was helping me with that. And then whilst I was putting the things in there, he started looking at me. He was like, I was trying to put like the things normally, and he was like staring, and I was like, okay, yeah. I just put everything in there as quick as possible, and then I just went to the door because I wasn't gonna enter the car before he entered. I just don't like doing that. So I just waited for him to get into the car. I don't get Ubers like by myself a lot of times, but this time I got it by myself. So he said, oh, you can get in, and then I got in, and then he got in, and whilst he was getting in, he was looking like to the back. I was in the back seat, and he was just staring. And I was like, okay, yeah. And he kept staring, and he said, oh, you're really pretty. And I was like, okay, thank you. And then he said, oh, your eyes are really pretty. And then he kept staring, and he didn't move the car. And he was just staring, and he wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I get really awkward with people, and I don't like to tell them, like, just go, because I really don't like to offend people, or he was just trying to be nice. So I tend to do that a lot, and yeah, then I regret it. And then he started to drive, and then he kept looking in the mirror, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then he was just saying, oh my god, I don't believe that your eyes are that colour. And I was like, oh, thank you. He just kept going. But then he started to ask my age, and I told you guys the story in the last video, and he started to compare me with his daughter. And then he started asking me like personal questions, like, what are you doing here? Are you studying? But then he started asking me what I was majoring at and what department I went to, and it was just really creepy. And then he got like normal again. He started talking about his daughter, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then he started to tell me that he didn't sleep that night, that he worked during the whole night, and that he was still working. It was the middle of the day already, and he started like at the middle of the day before, and he was still working. And yeah, I like started not to feel that comfortable around him. I was already not comfortable, but it was just getting a little bit more weird. And he was just like driving a little bit weird, and it's just not good, because he really needed to rest, and I was trusting my life in his hands. He was driving the car, and he literally didn't sleep, and that's, yeah, it's literally not good. And when he said that he hadn't slept nearly anything, I was like, oh yeah, that's not good, you should sleep more, yeah. At that point we were nearly arriving to my house, and what did he do? He was going up the street. He just needed to turn to the right, and we would just nearly be in my dorm. So what did he do? He was talking and talking, and then he nearly past my street, and if I didn't say anything, he would have just kept going in front. And then what did he do? There was a roundabout, and he could have just like gone around it and come back. But what did he do? It was going up, and there was 3 lanes, and he was like on the middle lane, and to turn to the right, he had to be on the right lane. So he was gonna miss the street, and he turned right away. And I was like, oh my god. He was like, oh, I'm sorry, I nearly missed it. And I was like, oh my god. Because if I didn't warn him, I don't know where he would have taken me. Yeah. He turned the car, and he was like, oh, good thing that I'm a good driver. And I was like, oh my god, no. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. But then I thought that it was over, and then I told him like you had to go up the street. He had the GPS from the Uber app, so he had to go up the street, and I was like, oh yeah, it's at that house. And he started going slower, and I was like, oh my god, yeah. And then he kept talking. He just started going slower and slower and slower, and then when we got in front of my house, I think the car doors were locked, and I needed him to go to the trunk to open it and for me to get my things and leave. And he didn't turn off the car. He just stayed there, and I was like, okay, yeah. And then what do I do? And then he just kept talking and talking, and I was like, okay, yeah. And then I just said, yeah, okay, thank you. And then I just started opening the car, and he said, oh yeah, you have to go. And then he turned off the car, and then he got out. He opened the truck, and I'm used to like getting my things and going inside of my dorm. It's normal. I just had to pick everything up, and even if I couldn't like get everything inside at once, I could always like put it on the street, get out of his trunk so he could leave, and like just put it inside. It was literally in front. He was nice. He got my things, and he said, oh, I'll get your things. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And I thought that he was gonna leave it at my door. Bearing in mind, it was just in front of the car. I thought that he was gonna drop the things at my door. But what did he do? He waited for me to open my door, and then he went in. He went into my dorm, and I was like, oh my god, what do I do? And I thought that he was gonna follow me upstairs, and I was like, oh my god. I said, oh, you can leave the things here. And then he said, are you sure you don't need help for anything else? And I was like, no, I'm okay, yeah. And then he just stood there waiting, and I was like, okay, yeah, thank you. And then he just waited. He was just standing there, and I was like, okay. I was really not trying to be rude, so I didn't tell him to leave. I was just standing there like in front of him, and he was standing in front of me, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And then I was gonna take him like to the door and close the door, and then he said, oh, don't worry, I'll close the door. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then he said, oh, it was really nice to meet you, I really hope we can get another ride together. And I was like, oh my god, no. And I really thought that he was gonna be like stalking me, because there's like really creepy stories. The good thing is that we didn't go back to university, and I didn't get a lot of Ubers since then because all of this corona thing. But yeah, and then I have an elevator in my dorm, so I was putting the things in the elevator, and I thought that he was going out the door, because I didn't want to wait there any longer, because it was just getting creepier and creepier, and he was already leaving, and he was closing the door. That's why I started to go, but he only shut the door when I actually got into the elevator. That's the only time that I actually heard the door shut, and yeah, it was really creepy, and I was like, okay, yeah. And that's my story of me getting into an Uber by myself. I think that was like my second or third time that I got into an Uber by myself. It was just horrible. So yeah, those are the most iconic stories I remember from my Uber experience rides. And yeah, I hope you guys can be safe and be careful. There's a lot of creepy people out there. Don't trust a lot of people. Don't do like I did. Be careful of people. if you see that it's getting really creepy and it's just not a very good situation, always keep your phone on your hands. On the second story, the whole ride, I had my phone in my hands and I was texting my friends and telling them that I was in Uber and that it was really creepy and he was creeping me out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to watch my last video if you haven't already. It's down in the link below. You can watch my other videos if you like. You can subscribe, leave a like and comment down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. Bye!